I'm pretty sure that most of you will know what the leader of the council does, but just very quickly, I am elected by the council at the beginning of the 4-year term after the elections. Normally the leader is the leader of the ruling group. In Wiltshire it's the Conservatives, and we have now have a 4-year term. It did used to be annually, but since the year 2000 it's been a 4-year term. And we work in Wiltshire under what's called a strong leader model with a cabinet. So I lead a team of 9 other councillors, and each of those councillors has a specific responsibility, and they act very much like ministers of state for Wiltshire. So, for example, Toby sitting next to me is responsible on cabinet for property, for waste, for anything else, environment, and John is responsible for housing and adult care. And we work as a team. We meet in the cabinet as a cabinet informally every single week. We work very closely with the senior management team every week and manage the council's business. That doesn't mean to say we manage the officers, that's not our role, but our role is to provide policy, to provide budget in which do we actually deliver that policy for the council, and then we challenge the officers to actually make sure that they are delivering what we ask them to deliver and they're doing it within the budget. Quite simple really, but it's more complicated than that when you get into it. That is my role. The secondary part of my role is to actually represent Wiltshire all over the place, in the region, nationally, and across the county with all sorts of people, whether it be the cathedral in Salisbury and the diocese, or whether it be the groups of head teachers from all the senior schools, or the museums, trusts. It is my job to represent the council on many of those things, and trying to promote all the time Wiltshire as a county in which to live, and more importantly at the moment, in which to actually set up business and work and produce jobs. Very important at the moment for Wiltshire, and I'll come on to that in a minute. So that's my role. The two things that are probably the biggest things, I know not in Malmesbury, that's Sainsbury's and Waitrose, but across the county at the moment that me and my colleagues are dealing with is the budget. That is due to be agreed on the 28th of February at a full council meeting. And as importantly, as far as I'm concerned at the moment, is the core strategy. You've heard a little bit from Brian about how important that is. I'll just talk a little bit about that in a minute. As far as the budget is concerned, I'm not going to go into detail, it's not the time, but we have a very clear 4-year business plan. Attached to that we've got a 4-year financial plan to deliver that business. And the business says that we have to make savings. We know we've got a lot less money from the government, 28% less than we had last year. We're going to have in 4 years' time. And we have to manage that. And more importantly, and what is costing us more, is the much more a service that we have to deliver to people, particularly our ageing population. And in order to protect the services to older people, we are having to look at over £50 million worth of further investment over the next 4 years in adult care services. We are in the southwest, the county that is increasing in older people quicker than anywhere else. It's a big, big issue for us. At the same time, we have more vulnerable children in the county. That has increased considerably over the last 2 or 3 years. We rather think it may be due to the families being under more stress from the economic climate they're living in, or whatever, but we are having more children that are either on our register that we have to give extra support to, or are in our care, whether they're in foster care, they're up for adoption, or they're in one of our children's homes. And that's a big issue, and it's a very expensive issue. Carol along here knows a lot about children's services, and we can spend up to £120,000 a year on looking after one child if that child has been very badly damaged through whatever reason throughout its It's a very, very difficult issue. and a very expensive issue. And we need to keep the money in there. We cannot say, no, we can't look after that child. That child deserves to be looked after as best as possible. So an increasing budget there. At the same time, we all know that you will want potholes filled better. And the Conservative group in County had a manifesto agreement that we would continue to increase the amount of money that we put in every year into maintaining our roads. We've stuck to that. We've put more in year on year, and we will do the same again this year. And I hope we are beginning to see what historically was a lack of care of our roads, just beginning to look a little bit better. But we're not complacent. We know we've got to do more. So there's many other things that we do, but those are probably the big three to us. We also want to invest in the county, and this is where jobs come in. You know, we are a county that is high cost of housing, but low value jobs. We are a county where there is too many people that live here and work elsewhere. So we are working considerably, and we are investing more money into the Economic Development Department and County Board in order to encourage good jobs into the county, and those jobs will be high value jobs, so that we can keep people to stay, to live and work here, but also that the people who do work here have better quality jobs. And that we are investing more money year on economic development. Attached to that, we're also investing in high-speed broadband, because businesses are telling us we will not stay in the county unless we have high-speed broadband, or we will not come into the county because you haven't got high-speed broadband, and we'll go somewhere that has. So John is leading a team at the moment that is working with the government and with the private sector to deliver high-speed broadband over at least 95% of the county in the next 3 or 4 years. And that's a big investment for us, but an important investment. At the same, so we've got to protect the vulnerable people, we've got to invest in the county, and we've got to make savings. How are we doing it? We're doing it by becoming extremely efficient in the back office in order to keep the frontline services going. And you will have seen we saved £8 million last year, and that's a year-on-year saving of £8 million from our management costs. So about 23% of our managers left this, about a year ago, and that's an ongoing saving. And earlier last year in the autumn, we also restructured our senior management team from 4 corporate directors and a chief executive to no chief executive and 3 corporate directors. And we're working on that system now, another saving of around about £700,000 year on year. So we're working very hard on that. We're looking at every service, cutting out the bureaucracy, cutting out the waste and saving money. We're also looking at everything we buy, every one of our contracts, and screwing it down as hard as we can to make as much savings as we can. And last year we made savings of coming on for 40 million. This year we're likely to make savings of 32 million. That is not money that we bank. That is money that we can reprioritise into those services that I've talked about that are important to Wiltshire. The result of that is that as a county, we've kept council tax at a 0% last year. We will have a 0% increase of council tax this year. And that's before we've gone through but I'm sure it will be voted through on the 28th. With 0% increase this year. And we have also, unlike many other councils, in one way or another, protected frontline services. So we haven't closed any children's centres. They're all open, they're all running well. We haven't closed any libraries. We've worked with volunteers, we're keeping them open more than we have, and we will do the same with youth services as well. We're looking ways. Rights of way, we're looking at volunteers to help us keep rights of way. We think that it's best to go to the people of Wiltshire and say, there's an issue here, we're under a bit of pressure, how can you help us deliver those services? And the great people of Wiltshire are all coming out and saying we will. Libraries, we didn't even advertise it, and we've had over 600 volunteers for our libraries. So, you know, it's not just about cutting things, it's about actually working with people and finding different ways of delivering public services. And in somewhere like Wiltshire, which is one of the lowest funded counties in the country, we have to do that.